Burmis here, and I am waiting for my niece. This is what I do now. I pick up my niece from school. So I've got two of them. The other one wants to hang out at the library. It's kind of funny. I'm going to bring up the library situation in a moment. So I don't pick her up till later. I had about 15 minutes. I thought I'd give everybody an update on some of the cool things we're starting to do with the broadcast. As of yesterday, we are on Podbean. We are on Spotify. We are on FM Player. We're trying to get on Pandora. I don't know whether that's going to be a thing. I'm not sure that Apple is going to accept my podcast. However, because we are trying to expand, one of those steps was to make the podcast official. Okay. One of my buddies has really been trying to get me on the No Agenda. And I think that Adam Curry and Dvorak actually do a very good job. And one of the things that I like about them is the value for value model. So this was one of the first steps, right? And I'm watching webinars. I just updated my Podbean website with graphics. It's probably going to be a week or so of me testing the waters. I put up in audio format, for instance, the episode I did, the mixed martial mindset from last night, completely uncensored, with John Fitch. Now, one of the reasons I chose Podbean was that it allows you to do video. But when I uploaded it as video, it would not allow me to submit my RSS feed to Spotify. Now, I wonder, now that I've been accepted by them, if I can put up a video and then audio and then they just skip the video. That would be cool. I'm learning. But what I need you to do now is, if you do want to start hearing this stuff in audio format, on rides, suggesting it to people, and then pushing them to the video stuff, Spotify, go follow me. Podbean, go follow me. I haven't done Stitcher yet, but we're going to try, again, to get on every single platform that we can, because we, again, need to expand our voice. We know that, unfortunately, there are just some topics you cannot talk about on YouTube. I doubt you can talk about on Apple Podcasts as well. In fact, I was hesitant and I didn't submit to Google itself, because my Google account really my YouTube account. They share the same email. And my fear was that somehow, because they are, would also get hit. Today's February 1st, for instance, guys, and here's the deal. I have 2 more days and another strike goes away. It makes it that much harder for them to kick me off the platform. And by the way, I want to shout out to the Burmis Brigade that's in there. Flick Off, thank you so much, man, for the continued support. And by the way, I know that you were asking about Blackstone Intelligence, and I did bring that up with both, both the guys, the main guys at Rockfin, and they said they were going to contact him. They said they didn't see it inside, but again, I think that we need to bring in more creators. Today is the day that you're supposed to be able to tip via the app on Rockfin. I don't know that that's a real thing yet. If it's not a real thing, tag those guys. Say, guys, what's the... because, me putting pressure on them is one thing. The paying subscribers out there, putting pressure on them is another. But that's the real deal. I think that we need to get into... yeah, no problem, brother. Again, we're trying to bring people in. We need more voices, period. And independent media, as you guys can see, continues to try to be marginalized. And I know a lot of people are shitting on Joe Rogan for saying that he'll have more guests that are authoritative sources on, etc., or counterpoints. But I hope he challenges those counterpoints. And just like I discussed last week when I talked about the problems with Spotify, right? I said Joe Rogan did his best work no matter what. And don't get me wrong, he's doing great work now, when he was live. Because being live allows you to be completely what? Unfettered, uncensored, surprised. And we know that Spotify didn't put some of his podcasts up, right? Look, Rockfin needs to grow. Rockfin needs to expand. But at the same time, the thing about Rockfin is I am paid in crypto. And I would like for them to grow and me to be able to maintain more of my crypto. So another idea of this podcast is to actually monetize it. Wow. Let's monetize it. Imagine that, a monetization. So again, just like today when I was sitting there building the little mini site, I was watching the webinars that Podbean shows you. I'm going to watch some of the monetization of stuff. And again, this isn't about making money, but if I want to grow, if I want to go say, get a building that either my mortgage or my rent is going to be 2 to 3 grand on alone, right? Let me repeat that. 2 to 3 grand on alone. And then I'm going to foot another $1,000 to $2,000 in bills, whether it be business class internet, electricity, heat, insurance, property taxes, etc. Well, I got to make more money. I hate to tell you. But again, I'm outside of a school, I'm picking up my niece, and I'm going to pick up my other niece later, and I want them to have a good life. That's one of the reasons that we navigated here to Iowa. And honestly, without Iowa, I don't know that I would be able to grow in the same manner. And what do I mean by that? In a situation where you put me to go rent or buy a building where then authoritarian mandates that have now been thrown out in the state Supreme Court were put upon me, and then the interns that I had to choose from would all be from the city, and in order even just to attend college, they had to go with the authoritarian dictates of you know what. I don't know that that's an environment where I could expand. I don't know if that's something that I really, would want to expand in. And kind of circling back to the beginning of this video when we talked about libraries, that's where I'm picking up my niece, and schools. Ford Fisher, we were talking about independent journalism. We're friends on Facebook. And Ford Fisher put up something about banning books in high schools. And he said, not in the curriculum, but in the library. What would you ban? Like, who are these people that are for banning books? And I bit on it for a second, because I do think that there are certain things that probably should not be in high schools or schools in general as far as books. And those things simply include pictures, illustrations, in that manner, physical iterations of hardcore pornography or child abuse in the sexual sense, obviously, right? I mean, violence is one thing, but obviously you don't want to see that type of exploitation. And I did a story on one of these books that parents were outraged about because it was a graphic novel. It was not just a book where they talked about the normalization. I mean, come on. I had to use the LTE I never used my data. What was the stream from my car? So anyway, we moved it. Maybe there was some interference there. I read Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Maya Angelou, a great author, very deserving of the accolades that she gets. Now, in that book, if you've read it, there is, the sexual abuse of a child, I believe, and basically her being sexually abused. Now, if that were to be put into graphic novel form and they depicted those things of a sexual nature, I would not, let me repeat this, I would not want that in high school. Just killing me here. Especially where younger kids would have access. And I have no idea how this is playing video-wise. I would be against that. That being said, the kids are starting to be let out of school. I'm going to let everybody go, especially with the way that got choppy at the end. Let's move my hand here for a second. But then, I don't want all that in there either. So, guys, thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. Remember, we are now in audio form. I need you to follow me everywhere in podcast form. Send it out. I put up not only the John Fitch broadcast, but I also, from a couple weeks ago, buffering like a son of a bitch. What am I paying for here? Maybe it's this Pixel 4 XL. Maybe it's time to get rid of it. It's been screwy with me for a while now. Anyway, go get me on the podcast. Share it on the podcast. I put up me and Morrow talking about the Supreme Court decision and transhumanism, among other things. I will be doing something later on today and tonight. And one of the cool things about Podbean is it actually allows me to stream live. So you can and I think the live listener will also allow me to take calls in the Podbean app. So that may be a new way that you guys can interact via the audio format, the live podcasting over at Podbean. So that's really where you want to follow me and the other platforms. I love you guys, and I will see you on the flip side.